The sex secrets of royalty and the church were compounded by sleazy revelations from shadowy politicians that proved to be the final straw that broke the back of the world. Taken from the book, Don't Get Mad, Don't Get Even, Get Everything. One Room Productions presents How the War of the Football Worlds Was Won. It is the 7th day of the 10th month in the year 2027. The Martians have been defeated. The priests of the Solar Federation are all dead. Planet football is at peace. But before all that, coming out of an astonishing villa in the football heavens, God's grandson comes down to defeat the Martians on planet football. And many people will waste their efforts trying to understand what is happening.
Morning arise, suddenly hits my eyes. Wanna do something new today. Wanna do something new today. Smoke some grass, get real high. How I'd like to save the world today. Wanna do something new today. Wanna do something new today.
At this moment in the year 3027, after getting used to 1,000 years of peace, it is easy to see why creation's higher beings love to holiday on a planet of peace. Everyone not down with the good of humanity felt me within a negative aspect in their souls. The world at the end of the transition were told the word namaste should not be said in the presence of holiness. Because unholiness cannot exist before holiness, there is no reason to say the word to anyone on a world where evil was forever banished. Behind the curtain of the self, there is no shadow. There is only one. It is you, the individual. It was said to the world as one individual, know yourself. Own yourself. You are an electrochemical carbon-based biological unit of total psychological and emotional logic. You are homo luminous within the superorganism known as mankind. Do not lose yourself within the shadow of what does not exist, because this is the hour of my return. This is the day of my judgment.
Sunrise, straight into the arms of my Lord. The moon dies, straight into the arms of my Lord. Birds fly, straight into the arms of my Lord.
If any did not know by now, One Love Nation was the nickname given to the new world that has long been experienced by all. But do any know with certainty where One Love Nation came from? For every child born into the fallen world of uncertainty, a certain vibe was laid down. The awakening of the magic was initiated so that the sons of Adam, the daughters of Eve, and all the scattered children of men would feel the positive vibration of the One Love Nation. That was the beginning of the reality of this world after the fantasy lesson of planet football was delivered to remove the old state of ignorance. The essence of the trumpet that became the sound of the apocalypse filled the air out of the divine magic mix by the band of two, also called One Love Nation. This special anniversary carnival marks the celebration upon celebration of peace reigning over the planet for one full millennium. Observe as light is shone on the period of the spiritual transition. clearing of every exhaustive false rumour of how peace descended over the minds of men that was bandied around in the time of confusion and doubt. As an eyewitness, it was interesting to see so many people so unsure of themselves after the last trumpet during the spiritual transition. As a child, I believed adults could hear the same words and discern the same meanings from words as children. The words "wake up" were all the rage at the time of the spiritual transition. Souls stumbled around in the dark with no idea of what they were to wake up from. Hardly anyone had ever heard of the grand illusion that was the domain of ignorance. Now released from the dream spell of ignorance, everyone knows about my grandfather. But before the spiritual transition, can you believe it was harder to know the mind of a man than it was to see the heart of my granddad? Up to the first 2 decades of the 21st century, men did not know how easy it was to hear my grandfather's whispers into any heart. The soundless sound of my grandfather's voiceless voice was easier to read and understand than any book ever written in the world about love via every religion. The fallen world of pseudo-religious politics tried to give my grandfather the 2 shilling. For me, babies aside for a moment, to have the thought of giving my granddad the 2 shilling is bad enough. To follow through with the bad idea into babies place one in the doo-doo of one's own manifestation. Because just like my grandfather in the football heavens, I don't got no arsehole to receive such a thing as the 2 shilling. So it was well offside to do to a baby that which could not be done to me or my granddad.
The life God's given you.
To give any member of the eternal monarchy, the eternal priesthood and the eternal government the 2 shilling is impossible. That the 2 shilling was given to children, I could not let that go. Heaven is all about forgiveness, but angels did not give me the nickname Maniacal Michael for a joke. From above the light line, we only need to think about giving the 2 shilling to the pseudo-religious political world with claret and blue thunderbolts, and it is already done. The turtle's head would poke out of the collective squeaky bum as the pseudo-religious world of politics touched cloth. Consider for a moment the treasures of the world. Who were the women and the children of those times? Imagine the feeling they had at the thought of living in the absolute best of times at the stop and start of a new time. Can you imagine the sheer intensity forced into the senses when a citizen of heaven was revealed? Souls were glad to be alive and warmed on nights of loneliness that had been redefined. The cold was not noticed as temperature because of what had been lived. Memories of the time of light were so powerful that it was a blessing for many. It was made apparent to all that the football heavens were not responsible for the doo-doo in the football world. Yet, perpetually gracious and ever generous, the football heavens took full responsibility for all. The doo-doo was cleared up with the same loving attention to detail how any good mother changed her newborn child's dirty nappy. At the time, some cheekily believed I was the one being cheeky. The enormity of the simplicity of celestial thought caused a multiversal reversal of every individual, which left the world universally challenged. On my granddad's behalf, as co-creator of the football universe, and with deep honour and respect to my human parents, for the second time, I entered the world wide awake.
Free of complication, with my freedom and isolation, then I ask myself.
To flex my spiritual muscle, I removed ignorance within a breath. To hang the nail out to dry for all to see, there had to be a gimmick attached. Something was needed to capture the attention before holding the imagination. The sad degree occupied by the fallen world was the reason why I entered the world with the powers of the football heavens to take the piss out of the dark one. My mother-in-law practiced on me for ages, so I was well equipped for Lucifer. Do I talk about the 7 years of the spiritual lockdown? Or do I talk about the last 7 days of the apocalypse and of footballer Greg Taylor's part in it? If any human professional were responsible for the burst ball that was Planet Football, they would never have survived the weight within the magnitude of my presence. The illusion of the damage to the environment of the planet was by the will of human design, fueled by the Luciferian intellect. The reality of the damage within every individual was cast out of a spiritual mind that had been cast out. The very words out of everyone symbolized the degree of internal healing which needed to be engaged to effect the spiritual healing. I held back from speaking my healing truth over the unseen truth of a soul until it was too late for anyone to do anything about the new truth embraced by all.
This is to be played in the bedroom at a loud and seductive level. This is to be played in the bedroom at a loud and seductive level. This is to be played in the bedroom at a loud and seductive level. This is to be played in the bedroom at a loud and seductive level.
The human issue of racism on planet football could not be cleared up by human means. During a 15-minute conversation with a slave master in the 19th century, every answer was given to the 21st century that could not be comprehended 200 years before. Every division was removed from the minds of the children of men. All recognized their nakedness before the glory of the throne of the football heavens. Elevation of the heart was central to hear the unique fantasy of the grandson of the Holy One. That was how, as a royal priest through time travel, I repaired the damage caused by the spiritual problem. Of course, my mother-in-law was shocked. Keep you quiet. But I'm sure my mother-in-law felt even more powerful after realizing for years who it was she took the piss out of.
What am I saying? Yeah, yeah. Oh. Spirits are born every day. That's why a mystery to life still remains. 'Cause even in my darkness, I'm never alone. 'Cause my mind's never my own. Forced to create from a will unknown. Vibe so intense, kicks me alive that I don't want the feeling to die. That I don't want the feeling to die. What am I saying?
The silent confidence that comes with being a spiritual billionaire was always mine. Can you believe back then I was going to ask the monarchy, the church, the government and professional football for their blessing to perform a divine time travel routine in public?
What am I saying?
But since it was a divine comedy, apart from the individual hoping it wasn't them being laughed at, where would be the fun in informing any of what was to come before it arrived? That would be time travel gone wrong all day long. Anyway, if individuals within the ideologies and institutions mentioned knew what was contained within my great silence, they never would have spoken in the knowledge of my presence. The entire world needed its collective mind blown. Time travel was unexpected, and it was mind-blowing. Behind the scenes during my visit the last time I walked in the world, the dark one was the job, and the Martians were a bonus. Imagine what it was like for the child who held the secrets to the holy grail of science. For years in the world within the palm of his hand, as a child who loved music and football, he had no idea what to do with this power. Believe me, there are many planets that I have made where I will never set foot again. You are lucky. This is not one of them. This planet has the best grass.
What am I saying?
When I appeared within the 21st century, the modern crop of coaches on the Angel Isle played the beautiful game in their minds. What was seen over hallowed turf every midweek and weekends of the football season began on a type of grass in celestial Eden you could hardly believe existed until you walked on it as a little 11-year-old kid. And even then, one hovered above it.
Never be afraid. Never be afraid.
What am I doing now?
I have found that although creating a masterpiece can be effortless in thought, it takes long hours of demanding work to be able to see the results reflected back to source. Because these words are said 1,000 years after the event horizon of confirmed time travel, which caused this celebration, that job was well and truly done. The target area from here for a replay of the last days is the time in the past, known as the period of spiritual lockdown. From the 1st of the 1st, 2020 to the 7th day of the 10th month in the year 2027, that portion of reality is sealed within the statutes of the absolute and eternal.
You should look in the mirror.
Let no one be fooled. To time travel is dangerous. Imagine if you are unprepared for the darkness over the minds of the time. At a time in the past before proof of time travel was seen, the world was run by infants who told their childlike parents to behave, while the spiritual virtuosi were ignored. Imagine going back into a pseudo-religious world of politics that blatantly lied to itself in full view of everyone, including the football heavens. Imagine being around a mentality that could not see it was as easy as taking away the force of arms to work out how twisted hearts got away with violence for so long. At the drop of a hat, the journey in time from right now back to the past will be performed with no fear. The movement of my internal energy, frequency and vibration from here will be transported into living flesh safely within recorded history. As I am conscious of this time in 3027, the past will view me as beyond the comprehension of the age. But the age will see the gift of the present from a sure future before I leave on the day called today. The film Soul Seekers proof in this day of how the apocalypse panned out will be made. Said films will be made available for wider examination. The intellectual verbatim conversation at the end of the world on the Angel Isle went like this. With one voice as a collective, the fallen powers on the Angel Isle said to me, "You, along with that Brummie accent, knew Tom was going to pan out a certain way, and you used the knowledge to get the drop on us?" I said yes. Was it naughty of me? My answer brought silence, which was pleasing before my focus left the Angel Isle to settle over the world. The world that was known before I announced myself was a hoax from beginning to end. I picked it apart and laid it unadorned with reason, logic, and intelligence. There was nothing a mind that existed below the light line could do to put it back together again. The hoax I created was so much better. All were invited to try to pick apart and destroy the beautiful fantasy of the esoteric reality. But in attempting to do so, they would have wasted their time. Go back and listen to the pseudo-religious political illusion based on the truth of today. Before it arrived, measure the distance of the world from the seventh day. With the fallen world, I was so simple and brutal that super stupid had no excuse. Answers were given for life in the past to those who occupied the Shadowlands. Once the design of the charade of a modern life was followed into the first 2 decades of the 21st century, rational thought was unknown by most souls during morning, noon, and night. Within a world devoid of love with no guarantee of happiness for any below the light line, it would have taken a lifetime to explain that I know what love is not. But to mention before then that it was me who stilled the spirits of the devil, the motion would have caused souls to jump onto the bandwagon with trepidation. It was said that happy endings did not exist in real life. As all can see with their own eyes, that statement was a load of old tosh. Death and taxes were banished within the happy ending for the majority. Without using words at all, it only took a moment and a movement to explain what love was. With no fear in sight, most jumped onto the bandwagon in love with themselves first. The love of no other was enough for the individual within the judgment. If souls could have worked out what was happening at the time, they would have remembered themselves. They would have remembered where they came from, and they would have remembered where they were going. I knew how to have a laugh in the judgment of everybody at the same time. The judgment, of course, was not what anyone thought it would be. I said into the world, "You are all going to have fun. And then I shall judge you to see if you need to have more fun." The past was told to have no fear of me because there is no fear within me. They were told better still to have no fear of themselves. It finally dawned in silence on souls of the inner worlds that all experienced in private. Souls knew it was the self which would be used to judge the self, as I observed from within a sacred space of non-judgment. From this place of relaxation, reality is incredible to see. The same stars, moon and clouds in the night sky are the backdrop to every life. In the last days, all could see their version of what was going on in the dark that no one else could see, but could all see what's happened within the same movements and motions of a conversation under the same sun when the same human life was not seen within everyone. Who could feel from a depth of interaction within dimensions that a shadow reality could never imagine? Once the psychological drama of myself was conquered, I realized a remarkable thing about reality. when grace was revealed for the salvation of the world, reality could be consciously made up on the spot. With this enlightened understanding, no sane being had an aversion to the alignment to the reality of peace, love and harmony and freedom for all, as proclaimed by Angel. Hence, the red, gold and green party vibe of perpetual celebration of the splendor of creation was seen.
Bring in the new reset the clock. Consciously selecting a new timeline where all are free, living, singing and praying in perfect harmony.